Hello there, and welcome to part 2 of 3D Studio Max, more like the introduction to 3D Studio Max, part 2. Um, so as you see right here, I've switched to a new recording software because the previous one I was using was terrible. So at least this is better, not just for recording, but also to start streams as well on Twitch, YouTube, and we'll get to that very soon. In another time. So, as we see here, um, today we're going to go over on how to make um, objects using a cylinder, just as we did with using a box, and how it can be how we can easily box model it with using a cylinder, and also, of course, what I have missed from the previous video. So, um, so I have my polygon count open up. So if you want to turn that on, you can go over to the plus sign, go to X view, and show statistics. Well, that's the same thing, just to turn it off. But to turn it on and off, the keyboard shortcut is 7. And also, if you want to isolate your object, you just press the isolation toggle right here. See. Now if you want to go into edges, press F4 and see how it lights up. But I think that it's better if we apply a material to one of these boxes, or to both. And now that when we apply a material, it applies a grid material on it, and our wireframe color still is very much the same. So now if you want to turn it off, just press F4. And then I'll also go into wireframe to show you the difference as well. So here's another way that you can do it. So I'm going to put this back to shaded and edged and edged frames. Excuse me. And also, I'm also going to show you modifiers as well. So in here, if I want to use symmetry, I can use symmetry to mirror another something or a complex object on the other side. Say if there was extra little small pieces like screws or whatever for your gun that you're making. You can use the symmetry modifier to mirror it to the other side, and thus it would save you immense time in reproducing it or cloning it and cloning the object and rotating it by hand. Instead, symmetry saves us the time on production in terms of making the object. So there's tons of examples. We can mirror it by Y, we can mirror it by X, or we can mirror it by Z on the Z-axis. So there's tons of options that you could use for symmetry, and you all can also flip it as well. Flip the mirror as well. So there's tons of varieties that you can do here. And also you can also wield seams as well. And if I just leave it just like that, it wouldn't actually do the job needed. So next part here is I'm going to create an object, a very quick little object that we can quickly manipulate here, just to show you that it is possible by using cylinders and boxes as an easy principle and an easy way to make stuff real quickly. Just like what we're going to do with making rocks. Just like making rocks, trees, and all sorts of objects and props that you can easily break out using primitives. So forgive me if I sound like the mad math genius, but at least it's more what's the word I'm looking for? At least it's more of an easier way to do it than just to make a plane, make it into a box and all that, where you could just use primitives in the creative tab. So I'm just going to insert this. So what insert does, if no one recalls, is that when you select two faces or more, it creates what do you call it? It creates another set of polygons that we can work with around its border. So say if we wanted to chamfer this object, we can. We can by making this more, by adding more edges to this and creating more edge loops around this box. Or to triangulate in other terms. So if I press, so next thing I'm going to press delete here and delete these objects, and then I'll go into border and I'll grab these two open ends right here, and then I'm just going to bridge it. I know what you're thinking, it looks more of a dumb way, but this can also be used to make a column as well. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to rotate this by 90 degrees. I'm just going to bring this up. Or we could just leave it at there, at where it is, and then we'll just work from here. I could turn off a grid as well, so it won't be a nuisance. Though it is wise that we use the grid for later when we have this model more complete. So we could either export it as a base mesh to bring it into ZBrush, or if it's a finished asset, you could just export it all the way into Unreal. So I'm going to leave that at the moment, and we'll get started with our cylinders. So that's next on our agenda for today. So I'm going to press Z to zoom into the object. And this is pretty high for an editable object. I mean, for cylinder. This is pretty high for a cylinder, so I'm going to drop it down to either 14 or 12. But